joints and muscles. Friends, we all know that there are bones inside the human body. They give shape and support to the body. What functions do bones perform? So let us study the functions of bones. Bones give shape to the body. They give support to the delicate parts of the body. They protect the delicate vital organs like the brain and the heart in our body. There is a marrow in the hollow parts of bones. Red blood cells and some types of white blood cells are produced by the marrow. Muscles are joined to the bones by means of tendons. They make movements of the body possible. Movements of the body take place with the help of bones and joints. To make movements possible, certain bones and muscles are joined to one another in certain specific ways. Joints. There are several kinds of joints in the human body. The structure by which bones are fitted together is called a joint. Joints facilitate body movements. Thus, joints are of two main types: movable joints and immovable joints. So let us first study movable joints. Most movable joints allow free movement of the body parts. However, in some joints, only a little movement is possible. The vertebrae or the bones of the spine. Only limited movement is possible between the vertebrae. On the basis of movement, movable joints are further grouped into 4 types. Do you want to know more about these joints? So let us study them in detail. These 4 types are hinge joint, ball and socket joint, gliding joint, and pivot joint. Try this. Bend your arm at the elbow. Your hand will move towards your upper arm. Isn't it? Now if you straighten your arm and try to bend your elbow in the opposite direction, you will not be able to do so. A door is fitted to its frame by means of hinges. They allow the door to move in only one direction. This is how the bones in the elbow are joined. The joint is like the hinges. Hence, the elbow joint is also known as a hinge joint. Now just find out, are there any other joints like this in our body? Oh yes, the knee joint is also a hinge joint. Nowadays, if the knee is damaged in an accident or otherwise, the knee joint can be changed. I'm sure you must have heard about it. So what is done in such case? Yes, it is replaced by an artificial joint. It has become possible to replace hinge joints and ball and socket joints by surgery. Ball and socket joint. In the game of cricket, the bowler turns his arm around the shoulder. How do you think the bones are joined to make this circular movement possible? The picture given here shows a kind of stone mortar and a pestle used to make idli or dosa batter by grinding. You see a pit or a socket in one stone. The bone in the shoulder has such a socket. The upper ball-like end of the bone in the upper arm turns in the socket of the bone in the shoulder. That is why it is called a ball and socket joint. Now just find out where else in the body is there a ball and socket joint. Yes, the thigh bone is fitted to the hip bone, but you must have observed that the bones in the wrist glide over each other to allow movement. Such a joint is called a gliding joint. This joint makes various movements of the hand possible. Where in our body do we find another joint like this? This type of joint is seen in the ankle also. That is why it is possible to make the various movements of our feet. We can look all around us by turning our head. The neck allows us to turn our head on both sides. Just imagine, how is this made possible? Let us find it out. Try this. You are familiar with a bicycle. Observe the handlebar. It is joined to a vertical rod. Turn the handlebar to the left and to the right. Just as the handlebar turns on this vertical rod, the skull in our head turns on the uppermost vertebra of the spinal column. This joint is called a pivot joint. Our head, like the handlebar, turns as if on a pivot. No movement of the bones is possible in immovable joints. The joints of the bones of the skull are immovable joints. Now just observe this table. This table shows the different kinds of joints. The joints are of two types: movable joints and immovable joints. Movable joints are classified into two types: those allowing limited movements and those allowing free movements. The movable joints which allow free movements are of four types: ball and socket joint, hinge joint, gliding joint, and pivot joint. If bones are broken, a plaster is used to support them. The plaster gives the bone support from outside. For a long time, the person cannot move the part that has been plastered. Besides plaster cast, other novel techniques have been developed recently to mend the broken bone. You may have seen how a broken wooden article is joined using a stripe of wood and screws. In exactly same way, a piece of steel and screws are used in a surgical operation to join the broken bone together. It is harmful to strain any joint beyond the limits of its movements. If we put too much strain or weight on the ankle, as we get a sprained ankle, its bones get injured and sometimes even break. It is important to give a complete rest to such painful injured joints. Massaging or rubbing the injured joint can cause a greater harm. It is necessary to take a doctor's advice about the proper treatment. Try this. Place your arm on the table. Now, with the fingers of your other hand, feel your upper arm. Does the fleshy part feel hard? Now make a tight fist and bend your arm at the elbow. Again feel your upper arm. This time it feels harder. This is what we call the biceps. The biceps are muscles. Muscles are made up of fibers and are generally attached to the bones. Muscles are necessary for the movement. The muscles attached to the bones exert a pull on the bone near the joint. They relax to allow the bone to return to its original position. These actions of the muscles cause the bones to move. Muscles also help to give shape to the body. Many functions like sending the blood to all parts of body, pushing the food in the intestines forward, and blinking of eyes go on in the body. To carry out these functions, the parts of the body have to make movements. Muscles help these parts to make the movements. According to the nature of their function. Voluntary muscles. Working with one's hand, eating something, walking are actions that we carry out whenever we wish. We can start or stop these actions whenever we want. It means that muscles that carry out these actions act according to our wishes or volition. Hence, such muscles are called voluntary muscles. Movements brought about by voluntary muscles are called voluntary movements. There are voluntary movements in our arms and legs. Now, just find out which other parts of our body have voluntary muscles. Involuntary muscles. The functions of the stomach, intestines, heart go on in a fixed manner, isn't it? These organs are made up of muscles. The functioning of these organs is not dependent on our wishes. Such muscles are called involuntary muscles, and their movements are involuntary movements. Involuntary muscles are at work in the stomach, intestine, and heart. Think for a moment that food has entered the stomach, but the stomach has decided not to make any movements. What will happen now? The work of muscles is very important for bodily movements. Therefore, muscles should be healthy. Regular exercise makes our muscles healthy and strong. Care of muscles. For good health, it is important that our muscles are strong, firm, and functioning efficiently. Therefore, for the growth and repair of the bones, we must include plenty of protein and starchy food in our diet. Regular exercise makes our muscles strong. During exercise, the rate of the heart's action increases, and we also breathe faster. As a result, plenty of oxygen and nutrients in the blood are supplied to all parts of the body. This refreshes us and we feel lively. The movements and exercise involved in our daily course are beneficial for our muscles. On the other hand, too much exercise tires us out. Like all organs, muscles too need rest. To develop good posture. For example, we should sit with a straight back and not hunch our shoulders. A bent back or hunched shoulders slowly cause certain changes to take place in some bones of the spine. Muscles of the back and shoulders begin to hurt, and we are likely to get disorders of spine. So always remember, always sit up and stand up straight. Do not hunch your shoulders. And small bones. Bones give shape, size, and support to the body. They protect the delicate parts of the body. Muscles are attached to some bones in a certain way to make movements possible. The structure by which bones are fitted together is called a joint. There are many muscles in the human body. Muscles too give shape to the body. Muscles are of two types, voluntary and involuntary. Exercise. Question